Now, there's this big thing going around with the White Rabbit. You wanna give a little bit of background for Tammy, because I don't know if she's paying that much attention to.
Everybody keeps talking about white rabbits. I figure it's just some mystery. I didn't look any deeper. I have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
Unless there's, like, we're going into Alice in Wonderland.
That's not far off. This whole White Rabbit thing has been very quickly developing into more and more and more. Every day that goes by, there's more White Rabbit stuff happening. Long story short, this White Rabbit thing started at house shows. During breaks between matches, there would be a break in action. Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit, the a cappella version, would start playing over the speaker system. And the lights were out, and it was this weird, like, what's going on sort of vibe. Instantly, people were like, let's get our flashlights out, because they're like, this is something. It means something. Nobody really knew what it was, but everybody wanted it to be something. There was a lot of people right in the beginning that were like, this has to be Bray Wyatt. This makes no sense. It's very weird. The lights are out. It's got to be Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a prolific fan favorite, also a fan non-favorite. He's kind of mysterious. And spooky, if you will. There has been some speculation. Karrion Kross was known as the White Rabbit at one point in Lucha Underground, which didn't make any sense because he's already re-debuted on the main roster. He's already back. He's already doing something. Why would they be doing a gimmick change or a character change right now when he's actively doing stuff? It doesn't make any sense. Some were saying, okay, it might be Malakai, a.k.a. Aleister Black. From back when he was in WWE, because there was all these rumors of, is he being released? Is he not being released? And all of this stuff. If they're bringing him back, this could definitely be him, because there was something embedded into one of the HTMLs of some website that was linked to on a QR code or something like that, that had some lyrics from one of his theme songs at one point in time.
Who found that?
Listen, the same people that go on Twitter and complain are the same people that go and like deep dive into these things. So that obviously doesn't make sense either, since now we're finding out maybe Tony's not letting anyone leave, but that's another story. So yes, it could be all of these people. It's most likely Bray Wyatt, and the most recent teasers are suggesting that. The most recent thing I think was on SmackDown. Maybe there was a phone number that they had displayed. There was a sign in the audience that was one of Bray Wyatt's old things that he had said at some point behind commentary when they had gone to a shot of commentary. If it's not Bray Wyatt at this point, they are going to piss a lot of people off. Because at this point, a lot of people have traced this all back to Bray Wyatt. And you can go and watch various YouTubes on it. We're not going to cover all the details of all this White Rabbit stuff. What I am going to say is that Triple H has been talking to Bad Bunny again about making a return to the company. And if it's not Bray Wyatt, it's not going to be any of these other guys. I hope it's Bad Bunny, because anything else is going to be stupid. Bad Bunny makes a lot of sense, okay? The dude is named Bad Bunny. White Rabbit, Bad Bunny. Now, would a guy like Bad Bunny go for a Jefferson Airplane song? Probably not. Would he do the whole spooky gimmick? Probably not. But it makes more sense than somebody who's contracted in another company. We shall see. My vote is Bray Wyatt. It's been Bray Wyatt from the beginning. I miss Bray Wyatt very, very much. If you guys are not familiar, go check out the stuff. Just go on YouTube and look up Firefly Funhouse. And you will see the magic of Bray Wyatt, a.k.a. The Fiend. Spooky stuff. Spooky
yeah, I know
stuff.
He's got like that Slipknot mask. It's pretty cool.
Made by the same guy that did the Slipknot mask, as a matter of fact. Looking forward to find out what that is, but Jesus, until it happens, I'm tired of trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, exactly. But like getting back into you mentioned earlier the releases. Let's talk about the AEW releases. So we get the news that says Buddy's released. We get the news Malakai's released, and then a few days later we get no one's released. I'm completely confused. Tammy, do you have any insight on this? Were you checking any of this out?
All I know is I heard Buddy was being released, and then all of a sudden he was like, no, that's not the case.
Right.
And I don't know about Malachi he's gone. He's not wrestling for a while. I don't know that he got released out of his contract or they're just letting him take a break. I don't know.
When Malachi was first, and Malachi has publicly addressed this, he said, yes, I did ask for my release at one point. I have had creative frustrations, if you will. He had a couple of things on Twitter, and he did some stuff on, I think it was either Facebook Live or Instagram Live something. He went live somewhere and talked about it while sitting in his car. He's a little upset because there was stuff coming out about his personal conversations with AEW higher-ups talking about how he was dealing with some mental health stuff and trying to do these things. Rumor has it that WWE has been reaching out to all these guys. Hey, we want you back. We want you back. Get out of your contracts. Do what you can. So there's this weird gray area of all that stuff. However, Malachi has confirmed he did ask for a release. The Buddy Matthews thing was supposedly, oh, I want out, but they said no. There's been a lot of other cases where people are trying to get out of their contracts supposedly, but now Tony Khan's not letting anyone leave. Whereas before, it was always, if somebody wants out, absolutely, go ahead. We don't care. Whereas WWE has always had this policy of, we can fire you at any time. You're a contractor, we will let you go. That's all the mass layoffs they've done in the last few years. But there's been quite a few people where they're publicly going out and saying, hey, I've asked WWE for my release. And then that release gets denied, and they're still with the company, still being underused, still not getting in good creative positions. A lot of this is boiled down to creative freedom in the past with WWE. However, I think a lot of people are now looking at it like, well, that's not going to be a problem with Triple H in charge. He's my buddy. He's going to let me do whatever I want. And AEW was the place where you would go for a while, where it was like, oh, that's where I'm going to get my creative freedom. That's where I'm going to get to have a voice and do my thing. And again, it's that double-edged sword we just talked about, where creative freedom also means sink or swim. You're either going to go out there and do great, or you're not going to do great. And then you're going to be mad at me because you didn't do well.
Exactly.
Now, here's my thought on this whole, should they be released, should they not be released, who's asking for what, whatever. Andrade, I think, is the most recent one that's been brought up saying he's asked for his release. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. Miro was one that everybody was like, dude, you should go back to WWE. He's like, I'm not leaving. It's all good for business, right?
Sure.
It all generates more eyes. It generates more word of mouth. People are talking about these things. So whether people get released, whether they don't, that's one thing. But if Tony Khan has now decided not to release people, is he wrong? I think if you sign up for a 5-year contract, you do your contract unless they're like putting you through some kind of slave labor or something. Like, you're getting paid well. You're on TV almost every week. Yeah, maybe you're not as successful as you wanted to be, but does that mean you ask for a release? The thing is, we don't know why these things are actually happening, and we don't know the details of whether or not they actually are happening. You want a contract? Cool, we'll give you one. You better stay for it, right? Yeah. If we give you a contract, they shouldn't be able to fire you at the drop of a hat if you're not allowed to ask to go do other things. AEW is a very open place to work. They let people do indie shows. They let people have creative freedom. They let people have their own merch, their own social media stuff. You can go on Twitch. You can do OnlyFans, all of those things. WWE is not that lenient. Should you ask for a release from a company? I guess, maybe. But are you a contractor? Not really, but you are. It's all weird. It's all vague. The wrestling business needs some standardization as to what is and isn't an employee and what is and isn't okay for your employees. I think that would clear a lot of things up. Unionization has been mentioned for years. It's never happened. Wouldn't that be something?
That won't happen.
No.
Not with that huge company. No.
I know a little bit about contract law. I had to take a course in it once, because I used to work for a real estate attorney in Old Town Alexandria. Contracts are made and they always have an out. So it's the nature of contracts that there's always some sort of loophole. I think these contracts should just be treated as standardized contracts. A contract is a deal. You made a deal, you got to live up to your end. Now, like you said, if there was some certain circumstances that were abusive and violating your rights, then of course, a contract is null and void because they're not following their part of it. So don't think that these aren't like pages and pages and lawyers to sign all this. Okay, for example, like Tony can't say, well, I've decided I'm not going to pay you. That's a breach of contract. You would take him to court. So that goes vice versa if you decide not to work. It is a deal. It has two sides and two sets of obligations that you have signed on to by law. So yes, I think we need to uphold those kind of documents to keep civil society. But contracts are made to be broken. All of them are. So there's always these little loopholes and exceptions, but I don't think they should be made easy. And there should be extenuating circumstances around them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with Malachi. Hey, dude, okay, if you're hurt, that's one thing. Okay. If you're having some issues, with your health, mental health, that's another thing too. But to say that you're not getting creative freedom, to say that you're not getting on television, I mean, could they have used the House of Black a little bit better? Sure, of course. but he's still able to cut his promos. They're still spending the money to help him cut his promos. He brought all of the dudes that he wanted to wrestle with in to AEW. Think about that. He got Brody King in there. He got Buddy Matthews in there. I mean, those were two of his guys that he brought into AEW. You're getting everything you need. So what else is there to this? I mean, it can't just be that I want to go back to WWE because I'm not happy. There's something more to this. So, hey, that's fine. I mean, it's money, but it's money. But you signed that 5-year deal, man, knowing what the money was. Sorry, bud.
A lot of people like to preach creative freedom until they realize there's a bigger paycheck somewhere else.
Right. Exactly.
And there has to be something said about if you've got a significant other elsewhere.
Yeah.
Malachi Black has Selena Vega. She's over there. Buddy Matthews with Rhea Ripley. She's over there. I get those things. However, you're in a contract. You can't have it all, Yeah,
you can't have it all. And that gets back to Andrade. I wanted to talk about Andrade real quick. Now,
Charlotte Flair is his wife. We have a spouse.
Exactly. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, Andrade wants to get out. So now they have this match. If Andrade loses, he leaves AEW. If 10 loses, he loses his mask.
Hey, man, the mask is a big deal. If you put your mask on the line, that's a big deal. However, let's not pretend that Preston Vance has not had his mask off all over the internet for a long time. This is not a real no mask match.
He has.
This is like a BS segment. What do you guys think? Do you really think Andrade is going to leave with this?
Yeah, I think he would.
Why?
Because, I mean, it's just my opinion. I just think, why not? This is like setting it up. He leaves forever. Fine. Then he can go do what he wants. And then why I think he has a good possibility of losing, because it's the anniversary of Brody Lee's last match. And I don't think they would do that to the Dark Order. And if they do, then fuck off, AEW, because that's fucking wrong. That dishonors somebody's memory, and you should not fucking do that.
Tammy's very, very bitter on AEW right
now. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The stakes are very low for 10 to lose, though. If he loses, so what? He loses his mask. It's not like 10 is a household name right now.
I get that for him personally, but there's an honor and there's a fandom at stake that isn't going to like to see that memory disrespected like that.
And also, though, if Andrade is to put over 10 on his way out the door, that's really doing a job on your way out. That's like the pinnacle of professional. Like, I'm going to lose to somebody who's not even on 3 steps below my pay grade. If you're going to lose on the way out like that, hey, man, nobody's ever going to say you wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I think it would be awesome, and I think 10 deserves to be elevated.
Yeah, but man, I don't want Andrade to go. I just don't. He's got Roosh now. I mean, they got that whole tag team. Them dudes are badass. I mean, they're like lucha gold. They have great matches that people just seem to forget about. It's like, are you kidding me? Every time Andrade's in the fucking ring, he's a fucking killer. It's like, I don't want him to leave. I don't. I want to see him more.
But if it comes down to it and that's the scene, I think it's the honorable way.
Well, that shit's going to make me grumpy. I could tell you that right now.
It's not about like or dislike. If you're going to put that on the line on that date, that's the way it has to happen. Think of the little boy that's there on Dark Order. -1.
I'm in the middle of both of you. I think, Tammy, you raised some good points about the Dark Order stuff. Rafe, I agree with you too. I like Andrade a lot, but have they used him well?
No.
Not really. He's kind of been squandered. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to leave. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended this way, though. Despite the fact that it's the Brody Lee thing and all of this stuff, I just don't see it happening.